Hey everybody, Mike Naso here with IPR with the latest on the tropics, and taking a look out there today, you can see we have two systems of note. We have the third named storm of the season, that's Chantal, right up here, jettisoning off onto the northeast very quickly, and we have Invest 99L out here, which is showing a little less organization today, but still holds some potential for development. We're going to talk about all of them in just a few minutes. But first of all, our storm Chantal, you can see winds are 50 miles an hour. It's moving off towards the north-northeast at 28. 999 millibars. It's strengthened and it's expected to continue on off towards the northeast and become extratropical, but strengthen as it does so. It's going to be a strong low pressure center way out in the North Atlantic. And it's going to remain that way for a couple of days. You can see the satellite there visible, looking rather organized. You can see the center is right under here, so it's under the southern part of the convection. You can see Nova Scotia right here is getting somewhat close there, but it's probably going to miss you to the south. Nevertheless, you're going to get high swells, I think, along the south-facing beaches. There you can see another vantage point of it. It's pretty impressive looking tropical storm for being so fast moving and so high off to the north and northeast. Continue in that direction. You can see we have some convection south of Louisiana and Mississippi, and then we have some convection off the outer banks, both of which need to be watched. I think this one here would have the best shot at any development, but I do not see any development occurring with it. Here's the satellite from about 11 days ago, and you can see that we had a strong wave move off of Africa, and this wave moved slowly over the course of about 3 days off, and then 4 or 5 days, and then it kind of sat around 6, 7, 8, 9, and then in 10 days it's moved all the way westward, and it is now Invest 99L, and you can see there it's still a little bit swept up in the ITCZ, and that's why we're not seeing development. But right now there is a little bit of a low pressure area with it. Let's take a closer look at that. You can see there the low is right about here. Last night we saw the mid-level circulation move on off down here. That's pretty much gone. And the new circulation center is right up here. You can see it has some banding, but it has weakened since this morning when it was looking a bit better organized. And you can see there the convection is pretty meager with it. So if anything does come of it, it probably won't be today. At the earliest, I think, would be tomorrow. But even that's a stretch. I think that the best chance for development will be after it moves into the Caribbean. And you can see the wind shear map. Notice it has a little bit of an anticyclone trying to form close to it. But the shear is much lower once it enters the Eastern Caribbean. And even though climatology rules against development in that area, we've seen too many storms, Claudette in '03, Charlie in '04, Dennis in '05, and Ernesto in '06 all prove that we can get development in the Eastern Caribbean. I think that's where this stands the best shot. You can see the flow around it creating some shear to the north, flow to the south. That's all going to carry into the Eastern Caribbean, which is currently favorable. And by the way, taking a look at the model spread, you can see the general path here is through the southern Windward Islands or the southern Leeward Islands and then into the Eastern Caribbean with some models climatology showing it'll move a little bit more north, some keeping it more towards the west and the south. The best chance I think is for it to pass close to or south of Jamaica, over the next several days, about 5 days probably be here. Now, if it does develop quicker before it gets to the islands or as it's moving through, then we could be dealing with a hurricane in the Western Caribbean. If it develops slower, we could be dealing with a tropical depression developing south of Jamaica. So there's a lot of differences here. The stronger it gets, the more likely we are to see a track more like that. If it stays weaker, we're likely to see it more towards Central America. At this point, it's unknown. It's not moving all that quickly, and I think there's a fairly good chance that development right around the time it reaches 65, 70 degrees west, and that's going to be when we're going to have to keep a closest eye on it. You can see off Africa, a pretty decent wave just moved off. This could be our next system, and could be moving off as well. We have another wave to the south, and there's our system here, which, by the way, if it became a storm, it would be named Dean. And so we may be dealing with tropical storm or even Hurricane Dean if the system develops over the next several days. In the Eastern Pacific, we got a couple of systems out there, one, two, and then our invest out here, three systems. Nothing going on with that. And in the Western Pacific, we do have a typhoon, and you can see it there spinning up well to the south of Japan, but it is headed in that direction. This is Typhoon Usagi, and Usagi is currently 120 miles an hour, gusting to 150. Northwest at 12 is forecast to become a Category 4 typhoon, maybe even a super typhoon, and then strike southern Japan before turning on off to the northeast. And as you could take a look at the satellite image right there, that is an impressive looking typhoon, well-defined eye, a lot of deep convection. We're going to keep a close eye on it as it continues to move towards the northwest. I'm Mike Naso. Stay tuned to podweather.com as well as weatherblog.com.